Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Observable Flutter. My name is Craig Labenz, and today we are going to be working on some declarative data filtering in Serverpod. And I was teasing this in the last stream that was kind of all about a data repository and some local caching and separating that out of state management and all that stuff. But I did not end that stream implementing the caching very intelligently, just making a global request to the server every single time, and kind of teased that in a future episode that has now arrived, I wanted to work on a declarative way to pass filters to the back end so that my front end could read from the cache and then only load objects that are newer or have been updated since a certain timestamp or something like that. So that will be the goal today. Great to see everyone. All right. This is the old Observable Flutter standard PSA, public service announcement. Let's all just be great. And I think it's time. All right. Let's have a quick tour of the state of things. So I have a make file that is kind of my little command center. And it's really handy because I don't even remember what's in it ever. All right, make server is what starts the server. Oh, do I have post-co open? There you are. Get this in the correct. Where's Trippy? Oh, there it is. Okay. Post-co, ready to go. Got some posts in here from last week. And actually, I'll make that a little bigger. There we go. Oh, I got another server window here. I think it's make app. And this will launch the Flutter app, and we'll see. I'm pretty exciting. And by exciting, I mean not very exciting. App to show and load some posts. And then I'll remind everyone a little bit about what the code we wrote last week, 2 weeks ago, looked like. And then we'll be on. It'll be adventure time. How did everyone enjoy the off week? What did you all do with your Thursdays while I was in Lost Vegas, not found Vegas, at Cloud Next? Okay, here we are. These are the items that we had last week. What is a make file? It's a Linux-based build system where you can have some shortcuts and then they execute commands. I think it's actually much more than that. I've only ever used it for this. You can actually build and release software with make. I've never done that. I just use it to drive different commands that I have. I don't believe there is a Windows equivalent. I mean, obviously Windows has its own build things, but you can't use a make file in this. So like if you were to download this code, which is found, by the way, here on a Windows machine, the make commands, the commands in the make file would kind of just be documentation for you. You wouldn't be able to just invoke them from the file. That's that. Oh, Unix based. Predates Linux. It's old stuff. Much older than my time doing computing. Okay, so last episode was a mostly front end episode. So it was all in the lib directory of the Flutter side of this operation. pretty much all in the data directory even. And I have this data repository that is a generic class to work on whatever data type we're operating on. Is that font big enough, by the way? Or is this better? The problem with really readable fonts is there's just so little of it on the screen at any given time. Maybe this was better. I think the other one was too big. So we've got this repository class. It's going to hold a generic data type. And there's methods like list that go get all the data. And then they cache all the data, which is cool. But they don't know really that well how to like the front end, if it needs new data, it doesn't really know how to read from the cache first and then maybe go to the server to just get updates. So the reason it doesn't know how to do that is I have no filters in the Serverpod endpoints. So if I ask the server for the list of posts, it can currently only get all of them. And then back in the repository, this will have every single post. We'll overwrite a bunch of our cached values, and then we'll return from the cache. There's obviously this to-do here about sorting at write time to the cache instead of read time from the cache. That'd be better. That'll be a future episode. Definitely not worrying about that today. But there's no filtering, so this cache is kind of pointless. So setting up some filtering so that the cache can be pointful will be today. And yeah, let's dive right in. All right. I have thought about this problem quite a bit already, specifically in the context of Serverpod, but I have not gotten it working to my satisfaction. And today will be the severalth attempt, but I do have a variation of my old approach in mind. Now, one of the problems that I ran into is that custom serialization in Serverpod, and I think I have that window open, it requires this second parameter here for a generic type. Or sorry, it requires this second parameter here. Has nothing to do with a generic type. Separately, freezed, and this, by the way, this is in the from JSON method. Can I briefly explain how caching works here? Well, it doesn't at all yet, but it will. Well, I'll explain how it works when it works. That was good. I mean, a totally good question. So Serverpod, by the way, has its own caching. I believe this is server side. Yeah, because it talks to Redis and it can save stuff in memory on the server. I don't believe like the client has any caching. There's, yeah, session.caches, right? So this is the session parameter is server side. So the Serverpod has server side caching, but I want some client side caching as well. So that's also part of the detail here. Now, how it works is that it doesn't. So we're going to fix that. Now, freezed in its from JSON. Where you at? Where's the documentation I'm looking for here? There we go. Freezed in its from JSON. If the class has a generic, as we can see here, then it requires also a second parameter, but it's different. Now, Serverpod is getting rid of its second parameter in version 2, which is in an alpha release right now. This would mean that Serverpod could use to freeze classes with a generic and they wouldn't fight over what the second parameter would be. I only am aware of this gotcha because I spent a really long time implementing this in the past and ran into it and was sad. So I think the first thing that I'm going to try to do, and I don't know if this is going to immediately blow up in my face and I'll have to back out, or if it'll just work, is upgrade to Serverpod 2. And we're going to use the alpha version. So I'm going to have to make that update everywhere. How do I don't know. You know what I might have to do is also update the CLI. So this would be like activate. And then I'm going to have to give this a version, I guess. For the CLI, do you take a... the get path, is this really, that's not how you're supposed to do it. Maybe. Is there a, let's go to the GitHub of Serverpod and look at its tags. Yeah. So I think I'm going to have to grab this tag here. I don't want to download you. Where's the tag list? How do I don't want the zip. Or do I want the zip? Maybe I'll copy this link. I don't know if this is going to work. So this was dash get path, dash get path. All right, activate. So this will be Serverpod CLI, and I'll use the override as well. And then this was get path equals this path. I don't know if it's going to work. Get ref. Option can only be used with source equals get. Okay. Didn't work. I don't know if I have the right URL. Oh, how would I update to, I guess I could download and we'll just use the source. Get hosted path. Oh, so I could do source path. Okay, I think I already have Serverpod downloaded, which would be in Serverpod. Okay, so I'll get that path and then navigate back. I'll highlight this path and copy it into my clipboard. And now run the same command, but the source is going to be the path. And then the, how do I give it the path? Executables to be placed on path. No, hosted URL. Oh, path of the package in, path of get package in repository. So get path, I guess, is what we have to use here. Oh no, that's what I was using before. I don't know. I'm not sure if this is going to work. It's not working. All right, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not going to update to Serverpod 2. I might need to do that later. We'll just carry on. Didn't work. Oh, I don't need the path. Wait, someone else knows how to do this. You can do it like this. Oh, you just give it the version. Amazing. Incredible. Activate. I love how much more than me you all know. So in the version just goes right here. 2.0.0 alpha.2. Florian. Wonderful. Buy yourself some chocolates or a pie or whatever you enjoy. Okay, so Serverpod is now updated to that version. Now I need to update that everywhere else. Serverpod client, pub spec. Oh yeah, I have off. Oh boy, I hope that works. No. Alpha 2. Let's see if that even loads. So I'm going to go into client. I'm not even really doing anything with auth yet. Oh yeah, CD client, sorry. Dart pub get, let's see if this even works. Version failed. Oh, that's fine. I just have to do this everywhere. That's okay. Deleted a bunch of stuff. Added some stuff. Oh, I deleted like Postgres. Okay, well, that's fine because we're in the client. The client doesn't need, I had the same trouble yesterday. Wow, fortuitous. Client doesn't need to know about Postgres, so that's okay. All right, one down. So now let's go to server pubspec.yaml and some of the same shenanigans. Looking good. Switch over to the server. Okay, I think it just ran, not sure. Dart pub get. Wunderbar. And now to Flutter. At last, Flutter pubspec. Oh boy, pubspec. Okay. And change all of you to that. And then Flutter pub get, which it may have been doing in the thing. I think it did. All right. All right. Next test, does it run? Oh, I have some problems here. Okay, that's fine. So use cache. So let's start with a Serverpod generate and see if that works. Downloading the templates. Download complete. Generated the code. And 13 was the number of errors that I had before. A bunch of random linting nonsense. Awesome. Super easy upgrade. Incredible. So make server. Cool. See if this runs. And then kill you, make app. This is got new dependency versions, so we can't just hot reload that. Brendan chat, what's going on around here? Well, I'm trying to whip up some declarative filtering in Flutter and Serverpod. And for reasons that are too boring to repeat, I need to update. I think I maybe need to update the Serverpod version to 2.0, which is only in a alpha release, but I'm going to use it anyway, and this seems to work. So let's write a new one, a new post. Awesome, new post. Great. That's what's going on around here. Brendan, can Serverpod talk to Redis? Yeah, it absolutely can. That is the default server-side cache if you want a persistent thing. And Serverpod comes with Terraform files and whatnot to automate, to help you in the task of getting your cloud infrastructure to actually have a Redis instance. So double yes. Hey, Sai, welcome back. You had 2 weeks to code and catch up. Are you still going to try to follow along? Nice to see you as well. By the way, no pressure if you don't. That would be okay. All right. I'm so excited. I wonder if that thing will help. Let's start. So the way this works is we need to use custom serialization to have this filter class that will go back and forth. Serverpod generates models on its own for your ORM and whatnot, but you can, and then part of what it does is add serializers and deserializers that know how to talk to each other so that, again, the whole network layer can be hidden. But you can add your own classes into that by declaring what classes you want to use and then ensuring that those classes have a to and from JSON method. And then the code generator and Serverpod will just call the methods that you write. So that's how that works. And this, I believe, is what we have to do. So the plan for that is generally to make a new folder or new package called, well, we'll call it whatever you want. I'll call it Chirpy Shared. So this will be Dart create a template of package, and we'll call it Chirpy Shared. Okay. Now, one thing that I've had in the past that was annoying, I'm going to get rid of this example because I don't care. And one thing that I've had in the past that was pretty annoying is, like, this is a new version of the SDK because I'm on the master channel, but I want everything to kind of talk the same. So I'm going to just use this. I wonder if that's even the right one. I mean, 3.3 maybe I could use, the last stable. I'm surprised that this is using 3.0. I did maybe create this project a while ago. What are the other ones using? pubspec.yaml. This one's using 3.3. Oh, interesting. They're already not using the same thing. Anyway, I'll start with that. Okay, Chirpy Shared, looking good. This, I know I'm going to do the whole like class generation dance. So I'll add to this, add a dependency of freezed annotation, and then add another dependency of JSON annotation, and then a dev dependency of freezed, and a dev dependency of JSON serializable. Nope, that's not how you spell serializable. Serializable. And lastly, build runner. Okay. Serverpod is not officially associated with Google or Dart, right? Right. It is not. I just really like it. That's it. I don't think there's any affiliation, but heard they're a great community. Yeah, I really like the creator too. His name is Victor. And actually, I was in Cloud Next to present with him about Serverpod because it said, you know, you deploy some Dart code to the server. So it seemed like it made sense to me. All right. So back in we've got our new shared directory in lib. Let's see here. Source, I'll delete this starting base file, delete, and we'll have a new folder called data and a new file called data.dart that will export maybe filters.dart. And we'll make that file filters.dart. And then in the main thing, you can now begin exporting data. Looking good. All right, it's time. So import package freezed annotation. And we already know we're going to need like part. It'll be freeze.dart and the JSON serializable file. And then we're going to have a class. Actually, let's think here. Like I said, I've given some thought to this before. So what I want to be able to have, declarative filtering. I want to be able to combine and an OR logic around individual actual filter classes. This is going to be a bit tricky. Does Flutter work with many cores CPUs? Yeah. Yes. Are you aware? Is there like does some software not work with many cores? Are you asking, does it take advantage of all the cores? In that case, I don't think Flutter's not going to naturally spider out to all the cores. You could spin up more isolates, and I'm actually not sure if that would always jump cores. So it can work. Is it going to maximally take advantage of it? Not necessarily. And then maybe you could force it to take advantage of it. That's an interesting question. Thank you for focusing on Serverpod. Hope we can see an observable with deployment to AWS soon. Well, you have to forgive me if I'm mostly use GCP. But there is a Terraform file for AWS, and you can just use that. But I will stick with GCP. All right. So I want to have an abstract class that is a filter. And here's kind of the whole point of this declarative filtering situation. I want it to work on the server for the cache, and I want it to work, sorry, said that wrong. I want it to work on the client for that local cache, and I want it to work on the server in an actual database query. So one of the things, and I'll give this a type. We don't care what that type is at all yet. One of the things that this will be able to do is just run on objects in memory. So we'll have a function that returns bool on whether or not the object passes the filter, and maybe we'll call this apply, and it will take an object. So we're off to a good start. Oh, you meant GCP. Well, just wonderful. There, sadly, as a Google employee, it is kind of a hassle for me to create a Google Cloud project that like Google pays for. So I'll have to do some effort. I'll have to put in some effort to actually be able to deploy to that, unless I just want to do it to a personal one. Some videos for developer experience as code gen tools can help. Oh, yeah. Well, when macros come out, you're going to be flooded with those. And by when macros come out, I mean if macros come out, and hopefully they do. All right, so filtering, it's going to do this. What else is it going to do? Oh, yeah, I need to have a concept of like and versus or. So let's have an enum for Boolean logic, and it'll be and or. All right. So now I think I want to have this idea of like a combination filter that applies and or logic to a list of child filters. So I have another abstract class. I think it'll be abstract, called combo filter. And it is going to have a list of children. So this will be final filter T children. And it will also have, oh, because this is abstract, I might need to like do this. Or no, I'll add a constructor, I think. Am I going to add a constructor? Yes. And then it's going to need to have an operator that stores whether or not it is and or. So this will be Boolean logic operator. And I'll add a, let's add like a hidden thing, because no one's going to use this. It's an abstract class, so it doesn't matter. This, no, maybe it's not hidden. I don't know. This dot children and this dot operator. And let's actually just make those. Let's be fluttery and make them named parameters. This dot required, this dot operator. All right. And there, I think some methods are going to come to this class eventually, but that's fine. Next, we'll have a real class called the and filter. And this is going to extend a combo filter. And the and filter will say required super.children, and then it will pass to the super class the operator of Boolean logic.and. And because this class is concrete, we'll eventually have to implement apply. So and filter is there, and then I'll just copy this for OR filter, I guess, real quick. OR filter, and you get OR. Why are you? Oh, you're both upset because of apply, but I think I can actually implement apply up here. So bool apply is going to get a T object. And now these classes don't need to implement apply because they're going to inherit the concrete implementation from the parent abstract class. And apply here will switch on the operator. Actually, I think we can just return switch on the operator. And if it is a Boolean logic.and situation, we will apply all of the children. So that's children.every, and then we pass, what do I want to pass to this? Oh yeah. This would take the, it'll like receive a child, and we want to return child.apply. And we pass in the object. Here we go. What's your problem with every? It's a list of filters. Oh, there's supposed to be a list of filters. There we go. And then Boolean logic.or. For this one, it'll just be any. What's the concept behind the observable series? Well, observable is a class name in either Dart or Flutter, like somewhere in the core SDK. And I'm writing Flutter, and if you watch, then you observe me. So it's observable Flutter. That's the concept. But maybe a more real answer is that just live coding. It's kind of replaced the boring show. If you used to watch that, it's an even lower lift for us, even kind of, I can talk to folks while I do it, but it just shows real Flutter development, usually unprepared, though this time, like I said, I've given some thought to this already. So yeah, that's it. Oh yeah, it is genuinely a pun. Oops, click this on accident. What is my thoughts on IDX? I have not used it, so I don't really have thoughts. Some of my teammates have, but I'm not an expert on IDX. Hopefully it is good. Okay, we're moving along. We've got this idea of a combo filter that can combine individual filters. And now we'll need to have, is this going to have to be, this combo filter actually may need to be, I think I might need to make this a freezed class. So that would be extends filter and then with like combo filter also of type T. It's interesting that it's not giving me, it's not saying that it's upset about this when obviously this class doesn't exist. All right. Analysis server. So I think I do want to make this free. Yeah, I think I might want to make this freeze to help with deserialization of the generic. This was kind of the whole point, actually, of bumping to Serverpod 2.0. And this will change the design of this somewhat. So now I would say const factory combo filter dot, and maybe we'll call this and like this, and we'll point it to and filter. Yeah, this is it. And then do you get T? I don't know. I forget how this works. Actually, I literally have the thing up. Oh, T goes in here for data types. It does not sit on the actual individual things, at least in that example. We'll see. All right, so the and here is just going to be children now. So this would be and now maybe it feels a little silly to have it be a named parameter. It will just be a list of filter T filters. I'll do the same thing for or. And you will be an or filter. Okay. And then we need to say const combo filter like this. This is a freezed doodad that will allow apply to exist. Operator isn't really a thing anymore. Oh, we'll just call map now, which doesn't exist yet because I'm going to have to generate the code. So I'm going to hide this first. And then we need a const constructor up here, const filter. I think I'm going to generate. And I don't need you anymore. That was all a waste. Let's generate this. Shared and build runner build. Love it. I often don't have thoughts. No, so no joke. I really think the world needs, all of us need to be comfortable saying, I don't have an opinion on that way more often than we do. All of us need to reserve the right to just not have an opinion on stuff. I have to add the JSON thing. I make good on that all the time because I know so little. All right, so this is a thing here, and then you are that. All right, let's build again. If any of you are into from JSON T, why is this not happy? Could not generate thing because of type filter. Huh? Oh boy. Oh, that maybe needs like a, is this going to need a converter thing? But the filter class, this is going to maybe be super annoying. So I think what's going on here is that I need to have a converter for the filter. So this is like a class filter converter that converts. This is really stinky. I'm going to make a type def real quick. How do you spell type def? JSON is going to equal a map of strings to objects. So this is going to convert between JSON and filter of type T. No, I think you just have to do that. And but then this extends JSON converter. That's what it is. And maybe I think these go here. That's right. Could you have T? I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe. So then we have the to JSON and from JSON that I actually don't know how to implement yet. But this will allow us to use we can add this converter. Oh, it has to have a const constructor. Remember that. Const filter converter. So now this can just get this converter. And this tells freezed how to generate the to and from JSON code. It's a pretty similar pattern to what Serverpod does, which is just like, please provide me with the to and from JSON filter, and then I'll use them. And that didn't fix it. I have the same error. Could not generate. Why? Oh yeah, I'm getting this fun analyzer problem. I don't think that's the issue. Check for an open issue at... All right, I'll check for this issue. I am command clicking. Oh, yeah, there is an open issue from 3 hours ago. And it's totally empty. Wow, that's funny. So good job to this person for providing creating the issue. Maybe could have put what you were doing. I may leave a comment about what I'm doing, but that would maybe not be the best for the stream. I'm not getting a lot in the way of, no published analyzer available for language version. Do I really need to go back to like the last stable for this? I might, but I don't know if that's the problem or not. Yeah, because I think it's using version 3.4. I don't think that's the problem. I don't think I need to change that. All right. Freezed filters. So on line 159, what is it doing? If filters is unequal modifiable list, filter converter. Did I not do it right? Filter converter. If you don't control the JSON response, you can implement a custom converter and then you supply it just like I did. So that, I don't think I did it wrong. Can also do it if it's a list. Wait, and you can also, yeah, there's nothing different that you do. In order to serialize nested lists, you are supposed to either specify JSON serializable explicit to JSON true or change in your build.yaml file. All right, I have basically never used build.yaml file, but I guess I will now. New, let's put this as build.yaml. And then explicit to JSON. I just set that to what? Or change explicit to JSON. Oh, I'll set it to true, of course. I don't know if this will fix it or not. You know what this design structure is called? Which aspect are you asking about, John? Okay, that didn't fix it either. So, man. Oh, is the problem that... No, that's the whole point of the converter. All right, let's think here. Let's use my noggin for more than a hat rack. I've got these filters. I'm going to look in this class. Combo from JSON. What are you doing? Yeah, so case and, case or, that's good. And then where does this get to from JSON? From JSON, here we go. And that just doesn't exist. Oh, so definitely errored. But I think that would have gone in the .g file that doesn't seem to exist. So I don't, oh, whoops, what did this happen? Debug console, get back up there, wherever you were. I don't know where this was. Whatever. Filters. Why did it say it was confused online? The fact that these are not implemented is not the issue. 99% sure. Could not generate from JSON code for filters because of type filter T. Freezed could not generate from JSON code. Yeah, 4. Let's see here if there's like a guide for how to think about this. Because of type. Am I not mixing this in? No, I am mixing it in. Actually, I'm going to remove the generic as a test and see if it just works. I want the generic. This isn't a satisfying conclusion, even if this works. Oh, I may know. There's literally a thing it tells you to do, and I didn't do it. There's literally a thing that you need to do. Generic. It says right here, do this. And guess who didn't do it? So I didn't save getting rid of the generic. Let's try again. This will be really funny. Missing Randall. Yeah, absolutely. He would have probably already pointed us in the right direction. Okay, sadly, that didn't solve the problem. Ah, boy. Serialization with generics is just kind of a big hassle. All right, I'm going to get rid of the generic. So this will just be object, I guess. Ew. Maybe we can use covariant for it later. Let me get rid of T. Man, I'll be really sad. We won't need this at all. And we wouldn't need this second parameter. And then we don't have a second parameter to pass. All right. Do you work? Are generics the problem or not? No. Generics are not the problem. So is this filter the problem, or is it actually the analysis server issue? Let's change. What if list of filter just becomes like list of int, which is totally silly. And then we don't need a filter converter for that at all. This code is super incoherent, but just does it build? Seems like it's going to build. Yeah, it built. Man, it really is struggling. So we got the JSON serializable. Okay, finally, where's the freezed file? There we go. But you have errors, don't you? Yeah. Missing concrete implementation of filter.apply. Oh, yeah. I knew that was going to happen. That's okay. So why is my filter class so broken that this doesn't work? Like I don't know why this isn't working. Combo filter. So we have no generics. If I regenerate, it's going to error again because it did last time. Yes, could not generate from JSON code for filters because of the type filter, but I'm providing the filter converter. This doesn't have to be, oh, am I doing this right? So the type in the serialized. Oh, from JSON. Oh, to JSON. Was that the issue? Was that the issue? Oh my gosh, that's the issue. I don't know why anyone gives me a computer. So now we can probably go back to having a generic. So funny. Well, actually, I will get rid of that. That's nicer. Okay. Looking good. Grab this again. And then get the updated from JSON. Gosh, I just had the serializer backwards. It's so amazing. Yeah, and of course we pass you. Just incredible. Just ask someone who knows. Oh no. Wait. We're back to the problem. Uh-oh. That's interesting. So adding in the filter. Oh. Does this have to do a thing? Oh, and then like this? And like this? No? Oh, sure. Okay. And then this? I don't know if this is gonna work. I should do the delete. Actually, I got this. I never had this before, but recently I did actually have Build Runner prompt me whether or not I wanted to delete the conflicting outputs or like cancel or throw an error or something. It's like, oh, that's why there's the flag. Okay. All right. So what files exist now? Both. They both exist? Oh. All right. So let's look at the JSON serialize. Wait, you say you're deleted. Why? What do you mean you're deleted? Is it really not there? I clicked on it and you opened. CD data. Oh, CD source data. CD lib source data. Yeah, it really is gone. Yeah, I just couldn't do it. So what is it doing now? Filter converter from JSON. This is all exactly what I would expect to see. For the old version, before I added T back in. All right. Like, does this go here? Is this how this should work? Probably. I don't know if that's going to make our difference. You know, one thing I actually just, whoops. One thing I totally do not understand is, goodness, come back. Come back. How this extra parameter works. So it returns a T. I've never actually looked at this. Oh, from JSON T. Oh, we would be able to see how it works if it could generate. Am I doing something differently than what it says to do? So I'm going to get rid of the parent class. Maybe that is the problem. I want this parent class to be here for my life later. That will be important, but let's see if that causes, like, what I'm envisioning requires that to be there. Okay, that wasn't the issue. So that's making it, I don't want it to be a sealed class. Actually, no, I could be a sealed class. This would be a funny, I don't know if that's going to do it, but we'll find out. Okay. Like, actually, can I just copy literally all of this code in, and does it work? Does this work? Yes, works. What is the difference? Crazy. Argument factories, generic argument factories. That's what I'm doing. Oops, there we go. Okay. So what is the difference? The generic appears on the mixin type as well. I experimented with putting it. I don't know if this is just an edge case. I wonder if this just doesn't work. Like, these are, wait, it doesn't even know what T is. How does it know whether or not it can serialize T? How did this one work? T could be a really complicated object that it would need a converter for. How did it know that it was going to work? Is it complaining about list of filter T on 163? No, wait, at 163? At line 63? You probably also meant that before I copied in the other stuff. So wait, list of filter T. That appears in a handful of places. So you're talking about these? Can you run it again? Oh, okay. I see. Then we'll get the new line. Oh, file's not saved. I was going to lose my mind. I was going to lose my mind. So yeah, right, because this file generates, but it can't make the .g file. You don't really exist. This is deleted. There's some weird like IDE caching, something funky going on. All right. So this converter did not help, but I was not surprised to need it. Like I thought I would need it. Oh man. This didn't help at all. It's possible that we just don't use freezed for these, but I really wanted to. That was part of my core idea. I think I'm going to back out and keep going and see what can get done. Sad day. Sad, sad day. Did I keep the other code? I did. All right. I don't think the lowercase f is the deal because it's capital F here, and or maybe you meant no parameters, but I need to pass this one. Const factory, name of the thing, name of the constructor, parameters that can include the thing, point to the redirected class, doesn't need to put T on that. Yeah, see, this works. Oh, that probably was fine. I think the .g file failed entirely because of my class. Let's test that theory. I'm going to put time boxes 5 more minutes. At 10:07 California time, I'm backing out. And I'll ask Remy what I was doing wrong. It's possible that there's just something slightly too awkward. Yeah, so here we do have functional. See, how does this work? Yeah, to JSON T. And from JSON, yeah, this is all pretty standard. What you would expect. Oh yeah, how did it handle T? Right, from JSON T. So this parameter came in here and it just said T from JSON T. Is there? No, this doesn't have a generic. There's no generics anywhere other than in this signature. That is it. So from JSON, I'm just going to click through here until we get to the end of the road. Runtime type. And this is from, so to, yeah, I still haven't like fully mapped out in my head how this works. It's obviously pretty gnarly, but I've only got 2 more minutes before I have to back out. All right. I'm just going to back out now. And carry on. I'm sad. I'm going to copy all of this code into another file that I just won't delete so I can look at later. All right, this API response, not my class. Converter, probably not going to need you anymore. uncomment this and then remove the freezed part of it. So sad. Really sad. And then you were, I believe, abstract. I don't need you anymore. And uncomment this. And uncomment this. Okay. Back to where I was 40 minutes ago. Yeah. Read the code 100 times, find a single mistake. Yep. And well, it's so tough too, because for code generation, you know, if you're like a fantasy or like a Harry Potter fan or something, it's like you're casting the spell wrong. You don't get to actually step through how the magic was supposed to work. All you know is you cast it wrong. And it's not like, it just didn't generate the JSON code. Normally, you step through the code that you wrote. Like, I have no idea. I was not spotting the difference. But yeah, maybe if I looked at it 100 times, I would spot the difference. All right. The whole point of this operation is to then have a thing called a post filter. And this is going to extend a filter of type post. This is the whole idea. So the post, shared pub spec is going to need to know about the client. So this would be chirpy client, which will come from path chirpy client. Very good. And so now we should be able to import post once that is done doing its thing. Oh, that's not what I wanted. There we go. Now it knows about the post. And this one will definitely be actually. Oh, well, I want this to be. Let's see here. I think this one will work because this one doesn't need the generics. I'm going to lose my mind if it doesn't. Very good. Post filter. Cool. So now I'll say something like, also, let's just remind ourselves, what fields do we even have on this? We have an author that I'm not using yet, a body, and a created at. So I'll do like created at and body. Those will be the values that we care about now. So this will be created like after, and it'll take a date time. It'll be the value, and this will pull redirect to post filter created after. I don't like that name. Create. Nah, we'll go with it. Whatever. And then maybe we'll have a created before. And then we could have post filter dot body contains. How about that? All right. This is also going to need, these all need to be const factory. What am I doing? Okay. And then we need to have another generative constructor so that we can add the apply method eventually. And then this will need to be JSON serializable, but it does not need all of the dynamic stuff, or it doesn't need the generic stuff. So I'm going to put you in here. This is a post filter. Get rid of this T shenanigans and get rid of you. And then you're a post from JSON, or post filter from JSON. I think this will work, but I thought the last thing would work. Okay. I do. Yeah, I do work at Google on the Flutter team. You'll restart the computer. Yeah. Maybe I need to move. Maybe I need a new ISP. I mean, I've done that before. Not the move, but like just you're pulling your hair out so hard that you're All right. You know what? F it. I'm restart my computer. All right. So I'm going to use the map parameter on this post filter class is provided by Freezed. And the whole point of this is in-memory filtering. Later, I'm going to worry about making this work on the server. Okay, so this is a function that takes the filter and we will return. So this is created after. We will return whether or not the objects dot created at dot difference f dot value is got to be greater than duration dot 0. And I'll duplicate that, make this before. And this needs to now be less than. So that's created before, and body contains object dot body dot contains f dot value. Cool. All right, so this should like filter stuff internally. And then let's write some tests for this to show how this should work. I don't think this is going to take terribly long. Test. Oh yeah, there's a shared test, and we'll just move. Oops, what did I do? Let's move this file to become a filters test. That looks good. And we'll get rid of all of this nonsense. And I'm going to make a new class that'll just be called data. This will show how this should all work. This will have a ID, this dot ID, and this dot message, we'll call it, our body. Final int ID, final string body. And then let me go to equatable. Usually I just use equatable, but sometimes I use its documentation for this code. I'll implement the operator, and then this, let's say object dot hash, and we'll pass it ID and ID.hashcode and body.hashcode. All right, so we have a little data class. Now let's make a little data filter class. And this will have a couple optional parameters. Let's basically do the same ones that I had on the post filter. So a constructor that shan't be used outside. This will be ID greater than, ID less than, and body contains. And then we need some constructors. Why did that not work? Oh, factory. ID less than and body contains string. All right. Now, let's make a few objects. So actually we could say maybe like const 1 equals data, and it can have an ID of 1 and a message of 1. 2, 2. The whole point of this is going to show that the combination stuff works, like nesting ands and ors. All right, group. Data, filter, lists, or combo filters. That's what we care about. Combo filters should apply, let's say, test and logic correctly. So this is how I'm imagining this is going to work. And this is declarative filtering. So we're going to be able to set some stuff easily on the front end, read our cache, get just matching records, and then we could send a request off to the server with these same filters. There'll be code there that knows how to turn them into expressions that modify a Serverpod query, and we'll get any updated records from the server that also match the filters. That's the goal. But first, they need to work on the client. So let's start with an and filter that will have children. And so let's use a data filter with like an ID greater than 1. So this alone would return 2, 3, and 4. But it's and filter, and we'll also say data filter dot contains, a body contains the letter T, which only appears in 2 and 3. So now we could say expect that filter dot apply to 1 should be is false, because that does not pass. And 2 is true, and your 3 is true, and 4 is false. Oh, and then I need a method to do the list of these. Yeah, I want to be able to just pass a list. What should I call this? Apply to list? I'm not sure. List T, apply to list, list T objects. So we need one down here. And this will say, I need to just call apply on each one. So it's objects.where apply to list. There we go. Okay, so apply list. So that means that now we can say expect filter.apply list, apply to list, and we'll pass it all of data, and that should return to us. Oh, I needed to pass 2 and 3 and 4, and this should return 2 and 3. Does this make any sense? I didn't want to run build runner. Use Gemini to generate data. Probably good. Equatable to using IE to download Chrome. Gosh, that is so relatable. What am I working on? Declarative filtering in a Serverpod app. So I want to be able to have some extremely simple filters that apply to both my local data cache and repository, and then also can be just sent over to Serverpod, and it knows how to wire them into a query. And so I'm writing a test right now for whether or not these filters do in fact work locally. Dart test is what I actually want to run. All right, great. It failed. So filter applied to list is something's wrong. Oh. Do I just have an outright problem? Yeah, totally do. Right. Post filter does not have applied to list. List, post, apply to list, and this will take a list of post objects. Wait, why did you need to do this? You extend filter post. Oh, this should just be a concrete implementation. That's the problem. This was supposed to go up here. And everyone should be able to inherit that. You can now go away. And now you don't need to implement this. That's good. Oh, and I didn't even do apply here. Pretty silly. Bool, apply. Yeah, apply is all we actually need to implement. Override. So this will take a data object, and the idea here is that only one of these is true at a time. Obviously, you know, we could have called this constructor and set more than one, but that's not how it's supposed to be used. So only one of these values is set at a time. So we say if ID greater than does not equal null, we return. Actually, we can probably just put this on one line, huh? Return object.id is greater than ID greater than. And let's do 3 of these. ID less than, and that ID has to be less than, and then body contains, body dot contains, body contains. And then if none of those were true, if none of the filters were set, which is be a weird thought, probably should throw an exception, but if no filters are set, then every object passes. Okay, applied to list isn't defined for and filter. How not? And filter extends combo filter. Oh, combo filter also thinks it needs, oh, because this isn't extending filter. Because I removed that on accident when I got rid of the freezed stuff. There we go. Now the code compiles. Now the test has a better chance of passing. And it did pass. Look at that. All right, this is what I'm imagining for how these things will be composed. Let's do a quick test for it. Or. So this is an OR filter. And now it should also accept number 4 because that's ID greater than 1. And so 4 will also appear here, even though 4 does not contain the letter T in our test. So we should have 2 passing tests. And we do. And now for my final trick, let's combine these things. So let's have an AND filter. So AND filter. Okay. And this is going to first have a regular data filter that will be, let's say ID is greater than 4. I don't know. I mean, greater than 3. So that'll just give us 4. And then let's have like an OR filter here that'll have some children. This is the whole point. So this OR filter, so ID has to be greater than 4, or let's say the ID has to be less than 2. Wait, maybe this one, maybe the outer one needs to be an OR. I'm trying to get of something that will actually discriminate very meaningfully. So ID, oh, and I meant ID greater than 3. So this will give us 4. And then the other thing is it either has to be ID less than 2. So that'll give us 1. And I have an and here. So if we say body contains, let's do less than 3 and contains t. This is really confusing, but I think here that greater than 3 will give us 4. And then the other option is you have to satisfy both of these, which would be less than 3 gives us 1 and 2. And then data filter, or the body containing t, filters that down to just 2. So we get 2 and 4. So false, true, is false, is true. And we get 2 and 4. That's the thought. If I didn't just scramble my own brain. Passed. There it is. Okay. To the server. Woo! In the words of that one Star Wars movie, now this is pod racing. Okay. Oh yeah, I still want to have this file. I'm going to save this somewhere else so I can close this window because it's going to get in the way. All right. All right. Now, next thing we need to do is, and this is where now that I'm not using freeze as much as I thought, I'm going to potentially run into some trouble. Oh, it wants me to say upload to is none. Okay. Okay. So let's go to the server. Server pubspec.yaml. And I'm going to give it a dependency on chirpy shared. And then for custom serialization, the first thing you have to do is tell it the class that's going to be serialized in the config generator.yaml file. So config generator.yaml. I should have just copied all of this. There we go. So my project shared for us is chirpy shared. Oh, why didn't you highlight both of those? There we go. Chirpy shared. And the class is, and now here is some trickiness. I think we're going to have to try filter. Yeah, basically we're going to have to put full serialization on filter and maybe figure out the T situation. I'm not really sure. But if freeze can do it in theory, even though I couldn't make it do it, then it can be done. So as a stub, I'm going to put the toJSON and fromJSON methods here. So this will be JSON, toJSON, throw unimplemented error, and then filter. Let's say this will be a static method, so I can have T. Maybe that's a good idea. I don't know. Filter T, toJSON T. Or no, this is from JSON, and this gets the JSON. We'll call this like serialized, whatever. This should allow Serverpod generate to work. Obviously, at runtime, it will fail, but that's a later problem. So filters are happening now. Okay. Oh, let's add post filter. I think I'm going to want to do that as well. And post filter is freeze, so it has the correct JSON stuff. All right, cool, cool, cool. That's fine. Now, the whole point of this is that we can go to, oh, don't want those 3 lines, can go to the endpoint file for post and accept an optional filter of type post. And then we have to import chirpy shared. So this can take a descendant, or this could take an and, it could take one of those big combos. It could have a crazy amount of filters. Imagine you're building an app where there's a ton of objects And on the left sidebar is like 8 different categories that the user can configure filters for. This is the kind of thing that I'm thinking about and I'm expecting to potentially want. And I just want declarative filtering. You know, declarative UIs are great. Declarative stuff is great. It feels really complicated when you're implementing the translation from the declarative system to the imperative actual realization, the execution of it. So we're paying that tax right now, but I want declarative filtering. So from the front end, I could pass something simple and then we'll make this work is the goal. So the way this happens is you say where, and this takes a method that's optional, but if the method is passed, it has to return an expression. So we'll say if the filter is not null, then we're going to pass a method. Then we'll supply the method that isn't written yet. And so this will be like post filters, I guess. And we'll pass the filter or filter posts. That makes sense. We'll pass the filter. Otherwise, we do not pass a method. I think it will be this simple here. Of course, we have to implement filter posts. That's the real trick on the server. So I'm going to make a new file that will just be called filters.dart. And I will have a function that is filter posts. And it is going to have to return an expression. And expressions come from Serverpod, import package serverpod dot. So this will be an expression, filter posts, and it will take a filter of type post. And we know it's not null anymore. There we go. So this filter comes from shared. Post comes from the protocol. All right. Kind of interesting to see you guys doing so many observable videos on Serverpod. Why is that? You just think it's very cool, or do you have a project you want to complete? Yeah, actually all of the above. I am messing around with Serverpod on like Saturday mornings, which is how I have any idea what to type. And I do think it's very cool. Before I was a Flutter developer, I was a full stack developer. I used Django on the back end. I really like Django, but I would like to use all Dart. Why does this feel like cheating? Say more, Sai. How are we cheating? Doesn't feel like cheating to me. Feels like in a land war in Asia right now. This feels like we're scrapping for every inch to me, but maybe it feels like cheating to you. Okay. So this method is going to be interesting. We need to return a filter, or we need to return an expression, and we have to like recursively combine all these things. Now, Serverpod did some cool stuff for us on that front. So if I go to GitHub Serverpod and look at their issues, like I said, I've been thinking about this a little bit. I'll make this bigger and I'll say author is me. I've searched for my own issues in the past. I don't want a new issue. Get out of here. Okay. This one. So I asked a while ago, March 9th, a little over a month ago, was playing around with this, trying to wrap my mind around this problem of like composable declarative functions. I was only at the time using the word composable. I wasn't thinking declarative yet. And proposed some stuff and got this helpful answer from the team where they pointed out that if you have an expression, which is the thing that the where method has to return, they can be just combined like this. So you can store different expressions and then combine those expressions. And they're just assuming and logic here because I wasn't asking about and or. But yeah, so this is how this works. And then you can see that the the query that we're building up here gets passed into, well, it's supplied from the function that we pass to where. So this concept that the Serverpod team was kind enough to illuminate for me is what I'm going to use as inspiration, if that makes sense. Oh, and then what's down here? Find T. Just kind of inlining it all. Yeah. Okay. As another Flutter and Python Django fan, yeah, like used both of them a lot. Still used Python and Django probably 3 times more than I've used Flutter. But I don't really remember it that well because I've only used Flutter for the last 4-ish years in Dart. All right. This function I think is going to be a little tricky. Let's see what I can get done. Also, given the serialization stuff, I don't think this is going to be complete at the top of the hour, but we'll see. All right. So we have this idea of an expression, and then there's also this filter that comes in could be a data, like it could be a filter post, which is the kind of leaf node, or it could be a combo filter. So that feels like the first thing that we need to check. Like we need to kind of say, if filter is a post filter, is that what I called it? Yeah, if it's a post filter, then we just get our straight up expression. And in fact, we're going to need an extension class or another method, it could be. But I'll use an extension here. So this will be extension on post filter. And the whole point of this is to return an extension or expression, sorry. Expression, get, we'll call it expression here. And you can use the map method. Yeah. So now I'm going to create expressions. So the expression for created after is post.table.created at is greater than value. Is that what I called it? Post filter. Yeah. So it's value. This dot value. Oh, right. This is a thing that we don't need. There we go. And now we don't need. Okay. So I'm going to be able to return an expression that Serverpod knows how to wire into a Postgres query. Created at is created before. So yeah, less than value. And again, post.t.body contains. I actually don't know how to do this one. Let's look at like queries, database, filtering, column operations. Where's like contains? So I need some string operations between, looking good, in set, like is what I need. Yeah, this is the construct in database land for like substrings and contains. So like can be used to perform blah, 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 match any sequence, match a single character. Okay, so I want percentage sign, the value. Oh, percentage sign. I literally didn't type it correctly at all. All right, I don't know. Oh, here we go. Dot like, and then we pass it as a string. Wonderful. Dot like, pass it as a string. So value, like that. Maybe that's how it works. Cool. And we have to return map, of course. All right. ORM support without code generation is not good. So true. This stuff is super tedious. My eventual proposal to Serverpod, if once I figure out something that I think doesn't stink, would be to add, excuse me, add some declarative filtering help to Serverpod generate. I also think Serverpod probably needs a way for a developer to just add their own stuff to Serverpod generate, like add their own entry point before or after Serverpod's own stuff. I think that would help with modularity. I guess their idea for that is modules, but that's potentially a little heavy. All right, we'll see here. So if the filter that was passed in is a post filter, we can return the filter dot expression. What's your problem? Oh, I've seen something like this. Yeah. I don't know why this isn't getting type promoted. It says the getter expression isn't defined for type post or filter post. But it's like, I just established that it's a post filter. I don't know why you have to do this. It's very weird. Anyway, otherwise, it's got to be a combo filter. Else, if filter is combo filter, then there's some more we're going to do. And then lastly, we just are going to throw an exception, I guess, because I'm not expecting any other kind of filter here. So throw exception, unexpected type of filter, and that would be the filter.runtime type. All right, so the combo filter is going to need its own trick as well. Extension on combo filter. And this is going to have a thing that returns an expression. Get expression. All right, we'll figure out how this works. Then we'll return filter.expression, and you're probably going to have to be retype promoted again. I don't know why. All right, so filter posts will hopefully be correct once this combo filter thing works. And this combo filter method is where serious inspiration from this is going to come from. So we're going to loop over the children and we're going to do this kind of thing. So we're starting with a nullable expression. And then we say for final child in children. So if the expression is none, then the expression becomes child.expression. Oh, man. Oh, wait, I think I know. I have an idea here. This needs to be... I don't want to have to do this all the time. See, I just have the same type expression thing again. Does anyone know why this is not being type promoted? Oh, wait, someone's got a thought here. If I'm not wrong, you can say if filter case post filter. Oh, interesting. Interesting. I'm also thinking about the types here because I don't want to have to write all of this code for every single class. I'll worry about that later. I don't care. Now, for right now, I don't care. I'd like to remove generics as much as I can. I'd like to have this class maybe just be, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, wait a minute. Expression. So this would be an extension on filter, no type. no type at all. And well, maybe we'll give it a name. So like filter expression. This way it'll be importable. It'll be detectable in the endpoint file. So now we say if, and then the case. T. Yeah. And so multiple folks thinking I need to do stuff with the generic type. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. So if, we'll say filter is combo filter, or if this. Self? No. You can see my Python is showing. Oh, I have to put this, excuse me. I've had a cough all week. My apologies for everyone. I have to put this in the classic expression, get expression. Now we say if this is a combo filter. Man, I wish I hadn't wasted those 40 minutes. If it's a combo filter, then we're going to use stuff not yet done. So this would be this dot expression. Oh, wait, this worked. What do you think this is now? No, it still just says it's filter of type T. Yeah, I don't want this to just recurse forever. And I guess we can do this T as well. Oh, combo filter doesn't have T. All right, sorry about that. Okay. Else, if maybe we have to add each type here. So if it's like a post filter. Else, if this is post filter, then, oh, and you have to get returned. Return this as post filter. I don't know if I just changed anything or not. Dot expression. And then we'll throw, I think I just painstakingly converted the, you're supposed to go up, painstakingly converted this method into a getter, but that means I think I can do this. Filter dot expression. What's your issue? Oh, okay. Now what's the issue? Use null aware. Oh yeah. Because this has to be a method as well. This was never correct. And then what's your problem? Oh my gosh, I have to do it again. As I know we have to import the file package. Actually, we'll just say import filters.dart. There we go. There we go. All right, anyway. So expression, post filter, that's fine. So combo filter, the point of this was for this line to work. Yeah, that was the point. Nice. So this was not silly. This was valuable to convert this. So we have an expression. Remember, now we're looping over the children in the combo filter. Also, it doesn't, does it just have no idea what T is? The name T isn't a type, so it can't be used as a generic argument. Oh, is that going to make things mad? I don't know. I don't know if this is needed. Whatever. We're going to eventually run this code and find out if it works. So now here, I think we say expression equals switch on this dot operator, which I guess would just be operator. And if it is Boolean logic.and, we return expression and child.expression. This is how this is supposed to work. Oh, you need to be, there we go. That's it. And then if you're or, we use this. So the Serverpod kind of overrode bitwise operators and is just using them as Boolean logic, which is clever and cool. So then we build up this expression over the course of the loop, and we return the expression. Don't need casting, Shriman thinks. So where's that? This is in combo filter T. The linter agreed with you that I didn't need to do that. Okay. I'm going to run Serverpod generate in the server. And how did async get in there? Get out of here. All right, this is pretty cool. So all I would need to do when I add more types, combo filter is in theory straightforward, assuming that works. Every new filter type would have to get added here. And then they'll all need their own expression helper as well. But not bad. Not bad. Then the post of this is fine. Now let's go back to the filters in the shared code because I know that this won't run yet because I still am throwing unimplemented in these methods, which is a big problem. And I really don't think I'm going to solve this today. Excuse me. Oh, wait, Sherman has more ideas. Line 10 and 12 don't need head type casting. So let's go back to the other filters. That was in server. So you're staying on line, as we've already cased the type. Did you mean cheesed? Sherman, can you say this again? And lines 10 and 12, which file? What about endpoint? Nope. Post endpoint? Nope. Oh, did you mean here? Nope. 10 and 12 is nothing there too. All right, Shimon, I'm not sure what you meant, but I want to know what you meant. We'll see how this should work, assuming these two methods work, which I'm pretty sure I don't know how to do, and thus I'm not going to embark on them now with 5 minutes left. But I think the rest of this would all work if these methods were wired up. So let's pretend they are, and I'll write a little bit of other code, specifically in like the repository class. So let's have a refresh method. This would be the whole point. Also, the Flutter pubspec class, or its YAML, needs to know about the shared code. And the client is going to also need to know about the shared code. But I don't know if I put that in already. I have not. Shared code into the client. Changes are now line 8 and 10. Server filter. Eight and 10. You're saying don't need those typecasts. Definitely don't on 10. Totally agree. And 8 is this. Okay, that's what you were saying earlier. Cool. Thank you. All right. So let's imagine in our repository class a new method called like refresh. So this would take a list of T. The list might be empty, but it won't be null, and it'll be refresh. What we should be able to do is, oh yeah, load will now take a filter. Haha, yeah, that's important. So load will take an optional filter of type T, and that'll be the filter. And we have to import from shared. So refresh can basically call, like it could say new items, final new items equals await, load, and let's assume I have the max ID somewhere. Let's say like int get max ID or max created at. And that is going to just for now equal the local cache. Oh, this is a date time. And it's null because we might not have any. So this will be local cache dot is not empty. Do maps have an is not empty method? Surely they do, right? If you're not empty, then it'll be local cache, you know, whatever, datetime.now. Let's pretend that this is actually pulled out of the thing, okay? This is the highest created at time that we have in our cache, which we saved as we write things to it. There's refactoring that needs to be done here. To do actually pull from local cache. All the local caching needs to be reorganized. But anyway, whatever. The whole point is we could say, this is a post filter dot created after the max created at. And that isn't happy. Post filter can't be a time to type filter T. What are you talking about? It's filter post and T. Oh, right. I'm in the top level thing. I'm in the repository. I'm not in the post repository. Of course. Of course. This whole method will go in. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Maybe we'll have like a load refresh method. I'm not sure. I don't know how this part would work. I haven't thought about this yet. Load refresh. Yeah, I think this is fine. Then we'll save our new items to the cache. And then, we'll probably return all of them again. So we can see here, we need a lot of refactoring within this repository. Again, we're hiding it from our state management. We'll refactor this probably next week. And if I go now to post repository, this has some new methods that it needs to implement. So load refresh. What do you... One positional argument? Oh, that was supposed to be optional. I'm going to come back to that. So load refresh is going to call load. Oh, this takes the positional argument. Post filter. And we import shared. Oh, it's mad about... Oh, actually, no, it is supposed to be filter post, not post filter. Because it could be an and or an or. Could be the combo. Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, but that post endpoint, that is not right. This was supposed to be optional. That was supposed to be optional. So this will get another quick Serverpod generate. All right, there we go. But load refresh, the whole point is that it calls load and it passes in the filter. This is where we go post filter dot created after max created at. Okay, what's the issue here? Date, time, sure. Because I did get rid of, actually, I guess we just say, let's do it for real. Does not equal null, then do it. Oh, that would just go in here, wouldn't it? One day I'll type something correct. So we're loading, and if we even have any objects, if we have a max created at value, if it's not null, then we pass that to the server and we say, I want objects that are only created after that value or after that time. So that's load refresh, just calls load. Load passes through the optional filter. That goes back into the repository class and does refresh things. It then goes to the server and applies that where clause to the actual query, and we only load the new things. I can't run it because I am throwing unimplemented errors in the to and from serialization code. But that is how it's supposed to work. Next week, I'm going to email people and ask around and figure out what I need to do. Let me close some of these. Where is this? This is on the server. Filters on the client. What do I need to do to make these methods work? Also, just play around with them. Maybe it's not even that hard, but we're out of time anyway. And actually see this working. And then I think what next week will be all about is straightening out some of this repository logic, because this is already, especially in the base repository, this class is getting super gross. And you can see how if all of this ugliness was in my block or my Riverpod class or whatnot, I might be concluding, oh, state management is really hard. I need a new state management class or new state management library, when really data loading is hard and caching data is hard. And so you need to have systems that are dedicated to only that and have a clean API in your state management classes. Call those things. That's what's up. All right, folks. Whew. I feel like my brain's falling out of my ears right now. That was fun. Thank you all for the help. In a bit of an open surgery state right now, but next week, the adventure will continue. The repository class will be shored up. The filters will hopefully go from one end to the other. They will be declarative, and we'll even have, we'll demonstrate using the filters on both the front and back end. That will really, to reuse a word, that will demonstrate the point of doing all of this, of having these filters that are declarative and composable and work on the front end, in the back end, just like all the rest of Serverpod's code works on the front and the back end. Okay, that will do it for today. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for the help debugging, and I'll see you next week.